Your success amplifier. Ready to amplify your potential? Imagine possessing a secret weapon that consistently ignites your creativity, sharpens your focus, and keeps you powerfully motivated. Picture your very own video track for success, always available, always inspiring. That's the power of Malcolm's Mastermind playlist. This isn't just content, it's a living, breathing guide, effectively a substitute for your top 5 mentors or more. Its mission is to empower you to clearly recognize incredible opportunities and expertly anticipate solutions to potential problems long before they appear. The playlist is specifically curated to pump you up, keep you intensely focused, spark groundbreaking new ideas, and constantly remind you of your inherent power. To truly maximize its impact, make sure to listen daily and often. It's the key to truly priming your mind for peak performance. Consider this video the perfect starting point, the first item on your playlist, engineered to kickstart your mind for success and be a recurring reminder to keep absorbing this transformative content. Don't just dream of success, amplify it. Start using Malcolm's Mastermind playlist today and unleash your true power.
Millionaires share one powerful secret. Your thoughts shape reality. Napoleon Hill spent 25 years studying over 500 wealthy people. He discovered the key to success isn't talent or luck. First, define your burning desire, an obsession that keeps you up at night. Second, create detailed plans. Write down how you'll achieve it. The universe responds to specificity. Third, surround yourself with a mastermind group. Find people who challenge and inspire you. Fourth, turn failures into fuel. Every setback contains a lesson. Fifth, take persistent action. Winners keep going when others quit. Finally, trust your gut. That little voice is your line to intelligence. The real power isn't in the money, it's in becoming the type of person who attracts wealth. Your mind is like a garden. The thoughts you plant today shape tomorrow's reality. Start thinking like a millionaire and watch your life transform.
Fired from his own company became the best thing that ever happened to Steve Jobs. When Apple's board kicked him out in 1985, everyone thought his career was over, but that failure, it was actually his launchpad. During his wilderness years, Jobs created Next, developing revolutionary software that would later become the foundation for modern Apple operating systems. Then he bought a little animation studio called Pixar for $10 million and turned it into a billion-dollar empire. When Apple was dying in 1997, they desperately needed what Jobs had built at Next. They acquired his company for $429 million, bringing Jobs back as CEO. He transformed Apple from near bankruptcy into the world's most valuable company. That painful firing wasn't his end, it was his reinvention. Without those years of failure and rebuilding, there would be no iPhone, no iPad, no Apple as we know it today.
Question everything. Was history's greatest mind once a slow student? Learn how questioning everything, not just memorizing, sparks true brilliance. Albert Einstein, a child who spoke unusually late and found conventional schooling tedious, was often dismissed as a slow learner. Yet, his authentic self wasn't built for rote memorization. It thrived on deep, relentless questioning. His unexpected action was not to seek answers in textbooks, but to constantly challenge assumptions and ponder what-if scenarios in his own mind, often visualizing complex problems. This wasn't defiance, it was his intrinsic method of understanding. He built thought experiments that others couldn't fathom, leading to breakthroughs like E=mc². The twist? The student who struggled with answers became the master of questions, revealing truths nobody had dared to ask. What established truth in your life or field could benefit from your authentic, unconventional questions? 1 Tios. Like, subscribe, and click on our other shorts to hear more inspiring stories of success.
Exposing the genius behind McDonald's global takeover. Or, this is gonna blow your mind, how one man transformed fast food forever. Ray Kroc wasn't the founder of McDonald's, but he was the visionary who saw its potential. In 1954, at 52, Kroc visited the McDonald Brothers restaurant in California and witnessed a kitchen operating like an assembly line. Most saw a busy diner. Kroc envisioned a revolution. He borrowed Henry Ford's manufacturing principles, ensuring every McDonald's burger tasted the same from California to Connecticut. But he didn't stop there. Kroc adopted Colonel Sanders' franchise model, adding his twist: strict standardization. Every restaurant looked identical, operated identically, and delivered identical food. From one restaurant to thousands, Kroc's genius wasn't in inventing the burger, but in reinventing how it was delivered to the world. His vision and determination turned McDonald's into a global empire, proving that genius strikes when you combine two ideas nobody thought belonged together. So next time you see those golden arches, remember Ray Kroc, the man who made fast food fast.
George Clooney accidentally built a billion-dollar empire by making tequila for his friends. This wasn't some calculated business move. Clooney was literally just tired of bad tequila ruining his vacation vibes. So he teamed up with his buddies Randa Gerber and Mike Meldman to create the perfect bottle for their own personal stash. They spent years perfecting the recipe, going through hundreds of samples, all just so they could enjoy better drinks at their own parties. Here's the crazy part. They never planned to sell it. This was purely for personal use. But their friends kept asking where they could buy this amazing tequila, and the requests got so overwhelming that they had no choice but to turn it into an actual business. Casamigos exploded. Everyone wanted what Clooney was drinking. The brand became so successful that Diageo bought it for $1 billion, making Clooney one of the highest-paid actors without even acting. The lesson here is wild. Sometimes the best businesses come from solving your own problems, not chasing what you think the market wants. What's frustrating you right now that you could fix for yourself? That annoyance might just be your next fortune. Phil Knight built Nike from selling shoes out of his car trunk with just $50. Most people thought he was crazy trying to compete against established athletic brands, but Phil had something they didn't: pure obsession with helping athletes perform better. He drove across the country hitting track meets, sleeping in cheap motels, and reinvesting every single dollar back into inventory. While other businessmen wore suits in boardrooms, Phil was getting his hands dirty at high school tracks, listening to what runners actually needed. The established shoe companies ignored him completely. His partnership with coach Bill Bowerman changed everything. They started experimenting with shoe designs in Bowerman's garage, literally pouring rubber into waffle irons to create better traction. Track athletes began requesting their shoes, specifically because they actually improved performance, not just looked good. The breakthrough came when Phil realized he wasn't just selling shoes. He was selling the dream of athletic achievement. Every rejection from retailers, every cash flow crisis, every sleepless night was building towards something bigger than footwear. That car trunk hustle became a $40 billion empire because Phil understood one truth: when you're genuinely obsessed with solving people's problems, failure becomes impossible.
Michael Jordan's true self. Cut from his high school basketball team, Michael Jordan transformed into the greatest player of all time by doing the exact opposite of what most people do after rejection. While others might have changed their approach or given up entirely, Michael Jordan doubled down on his authentic self. He didn't try to become someone else or fit into what coaches wanted. Instead, he embraced his intense, competitive nature even more fiercely. The moment he got cut, something clicked. That rejection became fuel for an obsession that would define his entire career. He started practicing before school, after school, and on weekends. But here's the key. He wasn't just working harder, he was working as his truest self. Michael Jordan's authenticity wasn't about being nice or likable. It was about being relentlessly committed to excellence, even when it made him demanding of teammates or controversial with fans. He never apologized for his drive or softened his edge to please others. The twist? That high school coach who cut him actually did Jordan the greatest favor possible. The rejection stripped away any pretense and revealed Jordan's core identity, a competitor who refused to accept anything less than greatness. Sometimes, your biggest setback is actually your biggest breakthrough in disguise. Like, subscribe, and click on our other shorts to hear more inspiring stories of success.
Mark Cuban was completely broke and sleeping on friends' couches before becoming a billionaire. Most people don't know he actually went bankrupt in his 20s after multiple failed businesses. He was selling garbage bags door to door and waiting tables just to survive. The guy who now owns the Dallas Mavericks was literally counting pennies for food. But here's what separated Cuban from everyone else who gives up. He used every failure as education. When his first company crashed, he didn't sulk. He studied technology obsessively, spending 12 hours a day learning about computers and the internet when most people thought it was just a fad. He founded Micro Solutions in a tiny apartment, working 18-hour days with zero social life. Then came Broadcast.com, where he practically lived at the office. His employees thought he was crazy, but Cuban knew something they didn't. He saw streaming video as the future, when everyone else saw it as impossible. Yahoo bought Broadcast.com for $5.7 billion, making Cuban a billionaire overnight, from bankruptcy to billionaire because he never stopped grinding when everyone else quit. 50 Cent made $100 million from a Handshake deal that most people would have walked away from. In 2004, Vitamin Water offered him a standard endorsement contract worth maybe a few million. Instead of taking the cash, Curtis Jackson did something revolutionary. He demanded equity in the company. Everyone thought he was crazy. Why would a rapper want to own part of a beverage company? But 50 Cent saw something others missed. He wasn't just promoting a drink, he was betting on the entire health drink revolution. Before it exploded, he took a massive pay cut up front because he believed Vitamin Water would become huge. The genius move, he actually used the product and authentically promoted it. This wasn't fake celebrity endorsement. He genuinely drank Vitamin Water and made it part of his brand. When Coca-Cola acquired the company for $4.1 billion in 2007, his equity stake was worth between $60 to $100 million. Here's the lesson everyone misses. Stop thinking like an employee and start thinking like an owner. When someone offers you money for your influence, ask for equity instead. Your audience is valuable, but your belief in the right company at the right time can make you generational wealth. Like, subscribe, and comment on what you like best about this groundbreaking side hustle.
Rejected. Your billion-dollar idea is already mopping floors somewhere. Richard Montañez started as a janitor at Frito-Lay with no formal education and barely speaking English. One day, when a machine broke, he took some plain Cheetos home and covered them in chili powder. That experiment became Flamin' Hot Cheetos, now a billion-dollar brand. He didn't wait for permission or the perfect moment. He had the audacity to call the CEO directly to pitch his idea. The same floors he once mopped now echo with his footsteps as an executive and motivational speaker. Your current position doesn't determine your future. Your vision does. The difference between staying a janitor and becoming an innovator was one bold decision to try something different. What floors are you mopping that could become your empire?
Two broke roommates turned Air Mattresses into a billion-dollar empire overnight. Brian Chesky was drowning in debt, couldn't afford rent in San Francisco. A design conference was coming to town and hotels were completely booked. His crazy idea? Rent out Air Mattresses in their apartment to strangers. 3 Air Mattresses, homemade breakfast, $80 each night. People thought he was insane. They created a simple website called Airbed and Breakfast. The first guests were a woman from Boston, a guy from Utah, and someone from India. Complete strangers sleeping on their living room floor. Everyone said it would never work. Who would trust sleeping in a random person's home? Fast forward 15 years, Airbnb is worth over $60 billion. That desperate idea to pay rent became the world's largest accommodation platform without owning a single property. Sometimes the most ridiculous ideas become revolutionary businesses. Your wildest solution might be someone else's billion-dollar problem. Rihanna destroyed the beauty industry with one bold move that competitors called impossible. When Fenty Beauty launched with 40 foundation shades, Every major brand was offering maybe 12. The entire industry had been ignoring women with deeper skin tones for decades, acting like they didn't exist. Rihanna saw this massive gap and decided to fill it completely. She didn't test the waters with a few extra shades. She went all in with the most inclusive range anyone had ever seen. The result was explosive. Women who had never found their perfect match were finally seen and heard. Sales went through the roof because she solved a real problem that affected millions. Within months, every major beauty brand was scrambling to expand their shade ranges. MAC, Maybelline, L'Oreal. Everyone had to follow her lead or get left behind. She didn't just create a successful business, she forced an entire industry to change its standards forever. Her side project became a billion-dollar empire because she had the courage to serve people everyone else was ignoring. Sometimes the biggest opportunities are hiding in the most obvious gaps. How can you identify and courageously fill a significant void in your passion area? Like, subscribe, and comment on what you found most inspiring about Rihanna's disruptive success. George Foreman became the oldest heavyweight champion in boxing history at 45 years old, but his real victory wasn't in the ring. After losing everything and falling into depression, most fighters would have stayed retired. George spent 10 years soul-searching, finding faith, and completely rebuilding himself from the ground up. When he announced his comeback, the entire boxing world laughed. Critics called him washed up, too old, delusional. His own family begged him not to embarrass himself, but George had discovered something more powerful than youth or speed during those years away from boxing. He had found unbreakable mental strength. The night he reclaimed the heavyweight title, he didn't just silence the doubters. He rewrote the rules about what's possible when you refuse to accept limitations. But here's the kicker. His biggest knockout wasn't against another boxer. It was in business, where he built a $100 million empire selling grills with his name on them. George proved that your greatest comeback can happen at any age when you combine faith with relentless determination. Muhammad Ali lost everything at the peak of his career because he refused to fight in Vietnam. The heavyweight champion of the world, making millions and beloved globally, threw it all away for his principles. The government stripped his boxing license, banned him from fighting anywhere in America, and he faced 5 years in prison. This wasn't just any athlete taking a stand. This was the most famous boxer alive, choosing conscience over cash. For 3.5 years, Ali couldn't fight professionally. His prime years, ages 25 to 28, completely wasted. The public turned on him, calling him a traitor and coward, but Ali never backed down, saying he had no quarrel with the Viet Cong and wouldn't kill poor people for rich people's wars. When he finally returned to boxing, many thought he'd lost his edge. Instead, he proved his greatness all over again. Then Parkinson's disease began stealing his legendary speed and sharp tongue. The man who once floated like a butterfly could barely speak above a whisper. Yet at the Olympics, watching him light that torch with trembling hands, the whole world remembered why he truly was the greatest. He faced a challenge that could have ended his dream before it began. Born with a growth hormone deficiency, Lionel Messi's path to football stardom seemed impossible. But his unexpected action wasn't a secret training method or a new diet. It was his family's extraordinary sacrifice, relocating across an ocean for his treatment and training at Barcelona's La Masia Academy. This wasn't just a move, it was an all-in commitment, a belief so profound it reshaped their entire lives. For us, this unexpected action means identifying the biggest obstacle and then being willing to make unconventional, even radical changes to overcome it. It's about recognizing that sometimes the only way forward is to completely change your environment or approach. A twist. That little boy, once told he might never grow tall enough, is now arguably the greatest footballer of all time, standing head and shoulders above the rest in achievement. How can you apply this all-in courage to overcome your own limitations? Ashton Kutcher made more money from his laptop than his entire acting career combined. While Hollywood saw him as just the goofy guy from that 70s show, Kutcher was quietly building a tech empire behind the scenes. He didn't wait for permission or credentials. He just started investing in tiny startups that everyone else ignored. When Uber was just two guys with a crazy idea about summoning cars with your phone, Kutcher wrote them a check. When Airbnb founders were selling cereal boxes to keep their company alive, he believed in their vision. While venture capitalists with fancy degrees were passing on these deals, the comedy actor was seeing the future. His secret wasn't some complex investment strategy. He simply paid attention to how people actually lived and what frustrated them daily. Getting a taxi sucked, so Uber made sense. Hotels were expensive and impersonal, so Airbnb was obvious. He invested in solutions to real problems. The guy who played a dim-witted character on screen turned a few $1,000 investments into hundreds of millions. His early Uber stake alone was worth over $200 million when they went public. Sometimes the best investors aren't the ones with the most experience, but the ones who understand human behavior and aren't afraid to bet on change. Like, subscribe and comment on what you found most surprising about this tech-savvy side hustle. Dollywood generates over $3 billion annually and employs 11,000 people, making it Tennessee's most visited tourist attraction after the Great Smoky Mountains. But here's what nobody talks about. Dolly Parton didn't just slap her name on a theme park and call it a day. She bought a failing amusement park in 1986 and completely transformed it by weaving her personal story into every single attraction. The park features authentic Appalachian culture, her childhood home replica, and even her family's actual moonshine recipes. This wasn't corporate branding, this was personal storytelling at scale. The genius move? She didn't try to compete with Disney or Universal. Instead, she created something nobody else could replicate because it was authentically her. Every roller coaster, every restaurant, every show reflects her genuine love for her Smoky Mountain roots. Think about your own story. What experiences, skills, or passions do you have that others can't replicate? Maybe you're obsessed with vintage cars and could create restoration workshops. Maybe you're a teacher who could design educational escape rooms. The key is finding that sweet spot where your authentic self meets market demand. Dollywood proves that the most successful side hustles aren't about following trends, but about turning your genuine passions into experiences others want to be part of. Ryan Reynolds sold aviation gin for $610 million by doing something most celebrity endorsers never do. He didn't just put his face on bottles and collect checks. He became the creative director and turned his personality into the brand's entire identity. While other alcohol brands were running boring commercials about sophistication and tradition, Reynolds was creating viral videos that felt like comedy sketches. He made fun of himself, roasted competitors, and turned gin marketing into entertainment that people actually wanted to watch. The secret sauce wasn't his celebrity status, it was authenticity. Every piece of content felt genuinely like him, not some marketing team trying to sound cool. When he responded to competitors or created campaigns, it was his actual voice and humor coming through. Here's what you can steal from this approach. Stop trying to sound like every other brand in your space. Find what makes you different and lean into it hard. Your weird sense of humor, your unconventional background, your unique perspective on your industry. Most people play it safe with generic marketing that sounds like everyone else. Reynolds proved that being authentically yourself, even if it's unconventional, can literally be worth hundreds of millions. Your personality isn't a distraction from your business, it is your business advantage. Richard Branson dropped out of high school with dyslexia and everybody thought he was crazy. This guy literally started Virgin Records from a phone booth with zero business experience. While competitors focused on profits, Branson obsessed over customer experience. He personally answered complaint letters and made sure every Virgin customer felt heard. When he launched Virgin Atlantic, established airlines laughed at him. They stopped laughing when he started stealing their customers with better service and lower prices. Branson turned his personal brand into his biggest asset. Every extreme sports stunt, every world record attempt, every crazy adventure made Virgin more valuable. He understood something most entrepreneurs miss. People don't just buy products, they buy into personalities and stories. While other CEOs hid behind corporate walls, Branson became the face of rebellion against boring business. His dyslexia forced him to think differently, communicate simply, and focus on what actually mattered. Today, Virgin spans over 40 countries because one dropout refused to follow traditional rules and proved that being authentically different beats being conventionally perfect. Ana de Armas was told she'd never make it in Hollywood because of her thick Cuban accent. Instead of giving up, she made the most extreme decision possible. She completely banned Spanish from her life for an entire year. No Spanish TV, no Spanish music, no conversations with family in her native language. She forced herself to think in English, dream in English, even talk to herself in English while grocery shopping. Her friends thought she was crazy. Her family felt disconnected, but Anna knew half measures wouldn't work. She didn't just take English classes twice a week like most actors. She lived and breathed English every single day until it became second nature. The Hollywood executives who once dismissed her accent watched in shock as she delivered flawless performances in Knives Out and No Time to Die. She went from being told she'd only get maid roles to starring opposite Daniel Craig and Chris Evans. The woman who couldn't order coffee without an accent became one of Hollywood's most sought-after leading ladies. Sometimes the most uncomfortable path is the only one that leads to extraordinary results. Total immersion beats casual effort every single time. How will you apply this immersive perseverance to conquer your own language barriers in life? Warren Buffett made his first stock purchase at age 11 and held it for decades, turning a few $100s into billions. While Wall Street obsessed over quarterly earnings and daily market swings, Buffett was playing an entirely different game. His secret wasn't complicated algorithms or insider information. He bought companies like he was buying a farm, asking one simple question: will this business be worth more in 20 years? When Coca-Cola stock crashed in the 80s, everyone panicked. Buffett saw opportunity and bought aggressively. He understood something profound that most investors miss. The stock market is a voting machine in the short run, but a weighing machine in the long run. Eventually, price follows value. So while traders were making quick flips for small gains, Buffett was accumulating ownership in America's greatest companies. His holding company, Berkshire Hathaway, started as a failing textile mill. Today it's worth over $700 billion. The man who once delivered newspapers now controls an empire spanning insurance, energy, railroads, and consumer goods. Buffett proved that boring beats brilliant every single time. Jackie Chan broke every bone in his body chasing an impossible dream and still didn't quit. While other actors used stunt doubles, Chan threw himself off buildings, crashed through glass, and performed death-defying stunts that sent him to the hospital dozens of times. His skull was fractured, his spine injured, yet he kept going. The Hong Kong film industry rejected him repeatedly. Directors called his style too weird, too risky. Hollywood wouldn't touch him because his English wasn't perfect and his comedy martial arts blend seemed unmarketable. But Chan had a vision nobody else understood. He spent 15 years perfecting his craft in obscurity. Every failed audition taught him something new. Every injury made him more creative with his choreography. He studied Buster Keaton films, blending silent comedy with kung fu in ways nobody had attempted. When Rush Hour finally broke him into American cinema, it wasn't luck. It was the result of decades of relentless preparation. Chan had already mastered his unique style through thousands of hours of practice and pain. Your impossible dream isn't impossible. It's just requiring the same dedication Chan showed when everyone said he'd never make it. Danny Trejo transformed from Hollywood's scariest villain into one of LA's most beloved taco kings, but his secret wasn't what you'd expect. While other celebrities were launching overpriced vanity restaurants, Trejo went back to his roots with a simple taco truck serving the exact recipes his grandmother taught him in East LA. The man who terrified audiences in Machete was hand-rolling tortillas and perfecting carnitas recipes at 4 a.m. He didn't hire celebrity chefs or fancy consultants. Instead, he spent months in the kitchen, testing every ingredient until each taco tasted exactly like the ones from his childhood neighborhood. Here's what made it genius. Trejo treated every customer like family. He'd personally hand out samples, ask for feedback, and actually remember regular customers' orders. People weren't just buying tacos, they were connecting with someone who genuinely cared about their experience. The unexpected twist came when food critics started calling his tacos the best in the city. Lines stretched around blocks, not because of his fame, but because the food was legitimately incredible. His acting residuals funded the dream, but pure passion made it profitable. Now Trejo's Tacos has multiple locations, and he's more recognized for his salsa verde than his movie roles. Sometimes the most authentic version of yourself is also the most successful one. Like, subscribe, and comment below on what you found most inspiring about Danny Trejo's journey. Dr. Dre's side hustle? $1 billion diabetes. A hip-hop legend, Dr. Dre faced a critical choice. Just make music or revolutionize how we hear it. He didn't just endorse headphones, he designed them. Dre, a master of sound, realized existing headphones compromised his music's integrity. His side project became an obsession, creating superior audio quality, focusing on the bass and clarity often lost. This wasn't about celebrity endorsement, it was about passion driving innovation. Dre applied his expertise directly, turning a problem he encountered into a solution for millions. You too can identify a gap in your own field or passion, and instead of just wishing for a solution, create it yourself. The punchline? This side hustle wasn't just successful. Apple acquired Beats by Dre for $3 billion. How can you apply your unique passion and expertise to solve a problem and create your own unexpected success story? Like, subscribe, and comment on what inspired you most about Dr. Dre's journey.
Bankrupt at 22 with nothing but a suitcase and a dream. Walt Disney's first animation studio Laugh-O-Gram completely collapsed in 1923, leaving him penniless in Kansas City. His first cartoon series failed spectacularly. Employees weren't paid, debts piled up. He even lived in his office and showered at the train station because he couldn't afford rent. The final blow? Rats infested his studio. But instead of giving up, Disney did something remarkable. He used his last $40 to buy a one-way ticket to Hollywood. He carried just one failed cartoon in his suitcase, Alice's Wonderland. That single cartoon from his bankrupt studio, it became the foundation for the Disney empire we know today. The kingdom wasn't built on instant success. It was built on spectacular failure and the refusal to stay down. Next time you visit Disneyland, remember it exists because Walt Disney failed first.
Two broke students solved the internet's biggest problem overnight. Larry Page and Sergey Brin were frustrated Stanford PhD students in 1996, watching people waste hours searching for simple answers online. The web was a digital junkyard where finding reliable information felt impossible. Everyone else saw the chaos and accepted it. These two saw opportunity. Their breakthrough came from an unexpected place, academic research. What if websites could endorse each other like scholarly papers? They built PageRank, an algorithm that ranked pages by how many quality sites linked to them. No more guessing which results mattered. Type your question, get the best answer first. From their dorm room, they tested this crazy idea and called it Google. 20 years later, their garage project processes over 8 billion searches daily. They didn't just create a search engine, they gave humanity instant access to all knowledge. Two students with zero funding changed how 8 billion people find answers forever. Football failed, but he kept fighting. Dwayne Johnson had just $7 in his pocket when his NFL dreams completely collapsed after college. Most people would have thrown in the towel right there, but something inside him refused to quit. He pivoted hard into professional wrestling, a world nobody saw coming. Every night he got slammed, every crowd that booed him. He used it all as rocket fuel. The guy was obsessed with turning his pain into power. When Hollywood started knocking, everyone said wrestlers can't act. Wrong again. He studied acting like his life depended on it, took classes, worked with coaches, treated every rejection like a masterclass. Now he's literally the highest paid actor on the planet. from $7 to seven figures because he understood something most people miss completely. Failure isn't your story ending, it's just chapter one of your comeback. That crushing defeat you're facing right now could be the exact thing that launches you into greatness. The question isn't whether you'll get knocked down, the question is what you'll build from the wreckage. This Ukrainian immigrant went from collecting food stamps to selling his company for $19 billion. Jan Kaum arrived in America with nothing, literally relying on government assistance just to eat. While other kids were playing video games, he was learning to code on used computers, driven by something most people never develop, pure desperation mixed with vision. The breakthrough came when he realized texting was broken. People were paying ridiculous fees just to send simple messages across borders. So he locked himself in his apartment for months, surviving on instant noodles and caffeine, building what would become WhatsApp. His friends thought he was crazy, working 18-hour days on something that seemed so simple. But Kaum understood something others missed. Communication isn't about fancy features, it's about reliability and trust. He refused to add advertisements, rejected venture capital for years, and focused obsessively on one thing, making messaging work perfectly for everyone everywhere. When Facebook offered him $19 billion, Kaum signed the deal at the same welfare office where he once collected food stamps. Sometimes the biggest victories happen when you refuse to accept your current reality as permanent. Robert Downey Jr. went from actual prison mug shots to becoming the highest paid actor in Hollywood. This guy was so messed up on drugs that studios literally couldn't get insurance to cover him in movies. Insurance companies were like, nope, this dude is too risky. His career was basically over. He got arrested multiple times, spent actual time in prison, and everyone in Hollywood wrote him off as another cautionary tale. But here's where it gets crazy. After he got clean, Marvel took a massive gamble on him for Iron Man. And get this, they picked him specifically because his real-life story of hitting rock bottom and clawing his way back up was exactly like Tony Stark's character arc. The dude who played a genius billionaire superhero was literally broke and unemployable just a few years earlier. And it worked so perfectly that he became the foundation of the entire Marvel Cinematic Universe. Now he's worth like $300 million and is considered one of the greatest comeback stories in entertainment history. Sometimes life really does imitate art. Refugee child to Hollywood star against all odds. Pedro Pascal's family escaped Chile's brutal dictatorship when he was just a baby, fleeing to Denmark, then Texas, then California. His parents were political refugees with nothing but hope and determination to survive. Growing up, Pascal moved constantly, never feeling like he belonged anywhere, speaking broken English and facing the uncertainty that comes with being an outsider. For 15 years in Hollywood, he was rejected constantly. Waiting tables, sleeping on couches, getting turned down for roles that seemed perfect for him. His accent was too thick, his look wasn't right, casting directors barely gave him a chance. While friends gave up and moved back home, Pascal kept showing up to auditions. Then Game of Thrones happened. One role changed everything. Now he's the face of Star Wars and one of Hollywood's most beloved actors. The refugee child who had nothing became the man who conquered Hollywood through pure persistence and refusing to quit when everyone else would have. KFC rejected this guy, and he went on to build a $450 billion empire that destroyed Amazon in Asia. Jack Ma was literally unemployable, failed his college entrance exams twice, got turned down by over 30 jobs, including KFC, when they were hiring everyone. People thought he was a complete loser. But in 1999, Jack saw something nobody else in China could see. The internet. While everyone was still using cash and going to physical stores, he had this wild vision of connecting Chinese businesses to the entire world online. With just $60,000 and 17 friends crammed into his tiny apartment, he started Alibaba. Investors laughed him out of meetings. Critics said Chinese people would never shop online. The dot-com crash happened and everyone said he was finished, but Jack kept grinding, worked 100-hour weeks, slept on office floors, and refused to quit. He believed that small businesses deserved a chance to compete globally. Today, Alibaba processes more transactions than Amazon and eBay combined. Jack Ma went from being rejected by a fast food chain to becoming one of the richest people on earth. Sometimes your biggest rejections lead to your greatest victories. Shonda Rhimes got rejected for years before becoming the most powerful woman in television. While other writers gave up after a few no's, she kept writing scripts that nobody wanted to produce. Hollywood executives couldn't see her vision for complex characters and diverse storytelling. Her early screenplays sat in drawers collecting dust. But here's what separated her from everyone else. She didn't just keep writing the same type of stories. She studied what worked, analyzed why her scripts weren't connecting, and evolved her craft. Every rejection became data. Every closed door became motivation to find another way in. The breakthrough came with Grey's Anatomy. What started as another medical drama pitch became a cultural phenomenon that's still running decades later. But that wasn't luck. It was the result of years perfecting her voice, understanding her audience, and refusing to compromise her vision for authentic storytelling. Now she controls an entire television empire worth hundreds of millions. Scandal, Private Practice, Bridgerton. Her production company shapes what millions watch every night. The woman who couldn't get a meeting now has executives calling her. Sometimes the biggest success stories start with the longest losing streaks. George Washington Carver literally saved the South with a peanut. This man was born into slavery, couldn't even attend school as a child, yet became one of America's most brilliant scientists. Here's the crazy part. After the Civil War, Southern farmers were broke. Their cotton had destroyed the soil, and they were facing economic collapse. Then Carver shows up and tells them to plant peanuts instead. Everyone thought he was insane, but this genius didn't just suggest peanuts. He invented over 300 uses for them: peanut butter, soap, paint, even explosives. He did the same with sweet potatoes, creating 118 different products. Carver single-handedly created entire industries from crops people considered worthless. The man who started life as property ended up owning patents worth millions. He turned the South's agricultural disaster into an economic boom. Sometimes the most revolutionary ideas come from the most unexpected places. Carver proved that innovation doesn't need privilege, just vision and determination to see potential where others see problems. Howard Schultz turned a simple coffee bean store into a $100 billion empire by stealing one idea from Italy. In 1983, while working at a small Seattle coffee retailer, Schultz visited Milan and was mesmerized by the bustling espresso bars where strangers became friends over coffee. His bosses thought he was crazy when he pitched transforming their bean-selling business into a coffeehouse experience. Everyone told him Americans would never pay $3 for a cup of coffee. The original Starbucks founders fired him for pushing his vision too hard. So Schultz did something bold. He opened his own coffee shop called Il Giornale, proving his concept worked. Within 2 years, he had enough success to buy out Starbucks entirely. His secret wasn't better coffee. It was creating what he called the third place between home and work. Comfortable chairs, personalized drinks, baristas who knew your name. He even gave part-time employees health insurance, something unheard of in retail. Today, there are over 38,000 Starbucks locations worldwide. Sometimes, the craziest ideas are just waiting for someone brave enough to believe in them. Kourtney Kardashian turned her wellness obsession into a multi-million-dollar empire, and you can steal her exact strategy. Most influencers just slap their name on random products for quick cash, but Kourtney did something completely different with Poosh. She didn't just endorse wellness products, she became the wellness expert first. Here's what she actually did. Kourtney spent years sharing her real morning routines, her actual supplement stack, her genuine skincare rituals. She wasn't performing wellness, she was living it publicly. Then she curated everything into Poosh, positioning herself as the trusted guide, not just another celebrity sellout. The secret sauce was authenticity over everything. She only promoted products she actually used, created content around topics she genuinely cared about, and built a community that trusted her recommendations because they felt real. You can copy this blueprint right now. Pick one thing you're genuinely passionate about. Become the go-to person for that topic. Share your real experiences, your failures, your wins. Build trust first, monetize second. The result, see, Poosh generates millions annually because people trust Courtney's curation. She turned personal interests into a business empire by being authentic when everyone else was being fake. Kylie Jenner built $1 billion empire by becoming her own best customer first. While other celebrities just slapped their name on products, Kylie documented her entire makeup transformation journey on social media, making her audience feel like they were part of her personal beauty evolution. She didn't hire fancy marketing agencies or spend millions on traditional ads. Instead, she shared raw, unfiltered moments of testing products, showing application techniques, and even admitting when something didn't work. This vulnerability created an unprecedented connection with millions of followers who felt like they were getting beauty advice from a friend, not a celebrity. The genius move was treating her social media like a live focus group. Every post, story, and comment became market research. She'd see what shades people loved, what formulas they wanted, and what price points worked. Then she'd literally create products based on that feedback. But here's the real secret weapon. She made her audience feel like co-creators of the brand. When someone commented asking for a specific lipstick shade, and it appeared in her next collection, that person became a walking advertisement. They'd tell everyone how Kylie actually listened to her fans. Her lip kits sold out in minutes because people weren't just buying makeup. They were buying into a story they helped write. That's not just marketing, that's building a movement. It's like subscribe and comment on what inspired you most about Kylie's story. Bruce Lee became a legend by refusing to accept impossible as an answer. Born with one leg shorter than the other, doctors told his parents he'd never walk normally. But Bruce had different plans. While other kids played, he spent hours perfecting basic movements, turning his limitation into his greatest strength. When he moved to America, martial arts schools refused to train him because he was Chinese. So he created his own system, studying every fighting style he could find. Movie studios rejected him repeatedly, saying Asian actors would never be leading men in Hollywood. Bruce didn't argue, he just kept training and improving his craft. The breakthrough came when he stopped trying to fit into existing categories and started creating his own path. He developed Jeet Kune Do, revolutionizing martial arts forever. His philosophy was simple but powerful. Be like water, adapt to any container but never lose your essence. Bruce proved that when you combine unstoppable determination with relentless self-improvement, you don't just overcome obstacles, you transform entire industries. His legacy reminds us that our greatest limitations often become our most powerful advantages when we refuse to surrender. Magic Johnson turned basketball fame into $1 billion empire by doing what other celebrities wouldn't dare, investing in the hood. While most athletes were chasing endorsement deals and suburban ventures, Magic saw something different. He looked at urban communities and said these aren't risk zones, they're gold mines waiting for the right investment. He brought Starbucks to South Central LA when everyone said it would never work. He opened movie theaters in neighborhoods that had been written off by major chains. The genius wasn't just bringing big brands to these areas. Magic understood these communities intimately. He knew what they needed, what they wanted, and most importantly, what they could support. He didn't just parachute in with random businesses. He created economic engines that employed local people and served real needs. His urban development company now controls billions in assets across underserved markets nationwide. Those Starbucks locations, they consistently outperform suburban stores. The movie theaters, packed every weekend. He proved that overlooked doesn't mean unprofitable. Magic's secret was treating ignored communities as valuable customers, not charity cases. He built wealth by building up neighborhoods that everyone else had given up on. True vision sees opportunity, where others see obstacles. One athlete completely changed how we think about personal branding forever. Michael Jordan didn't just play basketball, he invented the blueprint every modern athlete follows today. While his peers were happy collecting paychecks from endorsement deals, Jordan did something revolutionary. He demanded equity. He partnered with Nike to create Air Jordan, becoming the first athlete to own a piece of his brand rather than just promote it. The genius wasn't in his basketball skills alone. Jordan understood that every dunk, every championship, every moment of greatness was content marketing before social media existed. He turned himself into a product, then sold that product to the world. His brand became bigger than basketball itself. Today, every athlete from LeBron to Serena follows Jordan's playbook. They're not just players, they're CEOs of their own empires. Jordan proved that athletic talent combined with business vision creates generational wealth. He didn't just win games, he won capitalism.
Nobody talks about the 700 glider crashes the Wright brothers survived before they finally got their plane off the ground at Kitty Hawk. For years, they were just two bicycle mechanics from Ohio obsessed with an impossible dream while everyone laughed. They built test after test, sometimes crashing a dozen times in a single day. Their wooden gliders splintered, their engines failed, their calculations proved wrong, but they never stopped. They recorded every crash in meticulous detail, learning from each failure. When Orville finally lifted off for those 12 seconds in 1903, it wasn't lucky. It was the culmination of years of brutal persistence. The next time you're on a plane, remember you're flying because two brothers refused to stay grounded after failure number 699. Your dreams might just need one more attempt.
Oprah's billion-dollar empire started because she did the one thing television executives told her to do. While other hosts followed scripts and maintained professional distance, Oprah broke every rule by crying on camera during her first major interview. The network panicked, but something unexpected happened. Viewers connected with her vulnerability in ways nobody predicted. She wasn't just asking questions, she was sharing pieces of her soul. Her childhood trauma, her weight struggles, her deepest fears became part of every conversation. This wasn't media training, this was raw human connection. The industry said she was too emotional, too personal, too real for television success. They wanted her to be more polished, more distant, more like everyone else. Instead, she doubled down on authenticity. Every interview became a mirror where guests and audiences saw themselves reflected. Her willingness to be broken on camera created the most powerful media brand in history. She turned her pain into her superpower, proving that what makes you different isn't your weakness, it's your competitive advantage. The woman who was told she'd never make it in television because she cared too much built an empire precisely because she refused to care less. Authenticity isn't just honest, it's profitable when you're brave enough to be real. How can you apply this unexpected action, this commitment to radical authenticity in your own life to overcome your unique challenges and find success? Click on our other shorts to watch other inspiring stories of success. Taylor Swift lost control of her entire musical legacy when her master recordings were sold behind her back. 6 albums worth of her life's work suddenly belonged to someone else, and the industry expected her to just accept it. But she had a different plan. Instead of begging to buy back what was already hers, she did something unprecedented. She decided to re-record every single song from scratch. Track by track, album by album, she would create new masters that she would own completely. The music industry thought she was crazy. But when Fearless Taylor's version dropped, it shattered records. Fans rallied behind her cause, streaming her versions exclusively. She wasn't just reclaiming her music, she was rewriting the rules of artist ownership. Each re-recorded album came with vault tracks, unreleased songs that felt like gifts to her supporters. What started as a business dispute became a cultural movement. Artists everywhere began demanding ownership of their work. She turned her biggest loss into her greatest victory, proving that sometimes the best revenge is massive success. Sam Walton revolutionized retail by doing the exact opposite of everyone else. While competitors focused on wealthy city customers, Walton saw opportunity in forgotten small towns across America. He believed ordinary families deserved the same low prices as big city shoppers. Starting with a single 5 and dime store in Arkansas, Walton obsessed over cutting costs everywhere possible. He slept in his car during business trips, shared hotel rooms with employees, and drove the same old pickup truck for decades. His radical idea was simple, yet revolutionary. Buy massive quantities directly from manufacturers, eliminate middlemen, and pass every penny of savings to customers. While other retailers marked up products 300%, Walton kept margins razor thin. He treated employees like partners, sharing profits and listening to their ideas. That small-town strategy built Walmart into the world's largest retailer. Walton proved that serving ordinary people extraordinarily well could create extraordinary success. Sometimes the biggest opportunities hide in the most overlooked places. Martha Stewart turned perfectionism into a billion-dollar empire by selling dreams, not just recipes. While everyone else was just sharing cooking tips, Martha understood something revolutionary. She wasn't selling food, she was selling an entire lifestyle people desperately wanted to live. Every single detail mattered. The way she folded napkins, arranged flowers, set tables, even the lighting in her photos, nothing was left to chance. She created this unmistakable aesthetic that screamed quality and aspiration. When people saw her content, they didn't just want to make her recipes, they wanted to become her. That's the difference between selling a product and selling a transformation. The genius was in the curation. Martha took ordinary activities like cooking and entertaining and elevated them into art forms. She made homemaking feel luxurious and aspirational instead of mundane. Her brand became synonymous with the perfect life everyone wanted. Even when she faced legal troubles, her brand survived because she had built something bigger than herself. She had created a lifestyle empire that people couldn't let go of. The lesson here is powerful. Don't just sell what you do, sell who your customers become when they work with you. Make your brand the bridge between their current reality and their dream life. Like, subscribe, and comment on what you loved most about Martha's meticulous side hustle. Sofia Vergara made more money from Walmart than Modern Family, and here's the genius strategy behind it that anyone can copy. While A-listers were chasing exclusive designer collaborations, Sofia did something completely different. She walked into Walmart and said, "I want to dress the women everyone else is ignoring. The everyday mom buying groceries who still wants to look amazing but can't drop $300 on a single piece." Her Sofia Jeans line became Walmart's fastest-selling women's brand because she understood something crucial. There are millions of women who want style but need affordability. She didn't water down her vision, she made it accessible. Quality fabrics, flattering cuts, celebrity styling, but at prices that actually make sense. The result? Her fashion empire now generates more annual income than her acting residuals from one of TV's biggest shows. She literally built a business by serving the market everyone else called beneath them. This is the power of going where others won't. While competitors fight over the same premium customers, massive opportunities exist in underserved markets. Sofia proved that accessibility isn't about lowering standards, it's about raising possibilities. Success isn't always about reaching higher, sometimes it's about reaching wider. Tina Turner escaped decades of brutal abuse and transformed into one of music's most powerful icons. Born Anna Mae Bullock in rural Tennessee, she endured horrific domestic violence at the hands of Ike Turner for nearly 2 decades. The woman who would become the queen of rock and roll was trapped in a nightmare that nearly destroyed her spirit. But something extraordinary happened when she finally broke free in 1976. With just 36 cents in her pocket and a mobile credit card, she walked away from everything. The music industry wrote her off as washed up at 40. Record labels wouldn't touch her. Critics said her time was over. They were all wrong. Tina didn't just survive, she exploded back onto the scene with a vengeance. Her 1984 comeback album went multi-platinum. She filled stadiums worldwide with her raw, electric energy. Her legs became legendary, her voice more powerful than ever. What makes Tina's story incredible isn't just the abuse she survived, it's how she transformed that pain into pure artistic fire. She proved that your darkest chapter doesn't define your ending. Tony Robbins cracked the code that every other motivational speaker missed completely. While they were giving boring lectures to small rooms, he realized something revolutionary about human psychology. People don't change from sitting quietly and taking notes. They change when their entire nervous system gets rewired through intense physical and emotional experiences. So he threw out the rulebook. Instead of podiums, he created massive arenas. Instead of speeches, he built transformational experiences that lasted days. He made people walk on fire, literally. He had them jump, scream, and break through their deepest fears in real time. The result was insane. While other speakers struggled to fill hotel conference rooms, Robbins was packing stadiums with 50,000 people paying premium prices. He turned personal development from a sleepy self-help category into a billion-dollar empire. His secret wasn't better content. It was understanding that transformation happens in your body first, then your mind follows. He didn't just teach people how to think differently. He rewired their entire operating system through controlled intensity and peak emotional states. Doctors told Rafael Nadal his career was over at 19. Chronic foot disease, they said. Your bones are crumbling. Most athletes would have packed it up right there. But Nadal did something different. He made pain his training partner. Every morning, he woke up knowing his feet would scream. Every practice session was agony. But instead of running from it, he ran toward it. He rebuilt his entire game around his limitations. Changed his serve, adjusted his footwork, rewired his brain to see obstacles as opportunities. The result, 14 French Open titles and a legacy that transcends tennis. Here's what most people don't understand about champions. They don't succeed because they avoid pain. They succeed because they transform pain into power. Your setbacks aren't roadblocks, they're building blocks. The question isn't whether you'll face adversity. The question is what you'll do when you do.